Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the poker vlog. This is episode number 8, and for this episode we are headed back to MGM National Harbor. It's part 2 of our East Coast trip with Jeff Karras. I'm probably going to put together another 1 or 2 more vlogs based on this trip. I really hope you guys enjoy it, and let's go ahead and get to it. Alright, welcome back. We are just about to head out for day number 2 here.
I'm gonna slam on the brakes so that your phone just shatters.
You're a real nice guy, Jeff.
Thank you.
Nice guy.
I'm just going with the gut. Never had a doubt, felt like this is just a must. Put me in perspective, I'm the deepest in the cut. Everybody tuning in, but this is just for us now. We know I ain't ballin' yet. Hoes wanna holler, oh no, I don't call them back. Girl, let me see you hold it down, we gon' have a blast. Cause I just wanna know what you gonna do with all of that. Ain't gotta say a word, I know what's up. You can have it all, watch me rip it off. I'll admit it, you got me feeling hella loved. Even when it's going down, know that we gon' live it up. Young shot caller, always been above.
It's Friday, January 13th. This place is packed. There's 9 games up 2-5, and I think there's like 39 or so games overall. Every table's taken. Jeez, and there's like 49 on the list, so might be waiting a little while to get in. All right, it's been about an hour. We're still 25th on the list. Can I please get 5 and 5? Cool, thank you. We finally get in the game after an hour and a half wait, and we pick up pocket 8s in the cutoff. The hijack opens to 20. I decide to call. The button calls and the big blind calls. We go 4 ways to the flop, and it comes Jack 8-4 with 2 clubs. We flop middle set on a wet board, and there are several flush and straight draw possibilities. It's check to us, and we decide to bet $55. So we decide to bet bigger here because, for one thing, we have a really big hand. There are lots of draws, and there are several opponents, so it's likely we'll be able to get at least 1 caller. And in this case, the button calls and the other 2 players fold, so we go heads up to the turn. The turn is the 10 of hearts, and I decide to check with plans to check raise. And looking back, I really don't like this play in this particular instance. This card connects with the board a little bit too much, and it's going to be a scary card for him to bet if it doesn't significantly improve his hand. Too often, he'll be happy to check back with drawing hands in order to get a free card, and he'll be happy to check back with hands like Ace-Jack and King-Jack in order to pot control. So what ends up happening is I check and he snap checks. One good thing I'll say about taking this line is that I now know he doesn't have hands like straights, sets, or 2-pair because he'd certainly be betting all of those. The river is the queen of hearts, and this may look like a scary card, but I don't think he's going to have a 9 too often here once he checks back the turn, so I decided to bet $80 thinking I can get called by Queen Jack, Queen 10, flush draws and made a pair of queens on the river, and possibly Ace Jack or King Jack type hands. He ends up snap calling, and we turn over pocket 8s and take down the pot. Once again, we're off to a good start here at MGM. Shortly after, I decide to get a table change, and I pick up pocket 9s in the hijack. A player in early position raises it up to 20, 1 player in middle position calls, I call, the cutoff calls, and the small blind calls. So we go 5 ways to the flop. The flop comes out, it's 6-6-3 with 2 hearts, it gets checked to me, and I'm in a bit of a weird spot here where I'm probably ahead, but with so many people in the hand, it's definitely possible that someone is slow playing. Really, this is about the best flop I could get though without hitting a set, so if I want to win, I need to bet now because there aren't too many turns that I'm going to like. I decided to bet 55 into 105. The cutoff and the small blind both call, and it's a little bit scary now. I think that the small blind in particular could be slow playing, but I think I could also be up against hands like pocket 7s, pocket 8s, flush draws, and maybe even some straight draws. The turn is the 4 of diamonds. The small blind looks disinterested and checks. I fall for this fairly obvious tell, and for some reason I decide to bet 160. The cutoff calls, and the small blind raises it up to 340. So I'm never ever good here. I fold, and I'm pretty upset with myself for betting the turn, especially since I saw the small blind check while he seemed to be staring off into another dimension as if he couldn't care less about the hand. What ends up happening is the cutoff calls the 340. The river was the ace of hearts. The small blind jammed for around 500 and the cutoff called. The small blind had 6-4 of spades and the cutoff had king 5 of hearts for the nut flush. A few hands later, I pick up ace king offsuit under the gun +1. The under the gun player opens to 30. I'm still new to the table and I'm a little bit confused on the sizing. Usually I'd 3-bet here, but I think when he makes it 6x from under the gun, he's going to have hands like pocket queens, pocket jacks, ace king, or ace queen. I don't think there's much reason to 3-bet when these are the hands I put him on, so I decided to just call, and it's a little bit for deception. Everyone behind me folds and we go heads up to the flop. The flop comes ace-7-3 rainbow and he bets 40 into 67. This is obviously a great flop for us, but we're never doing anything other than calling. We are, however, planning on raising the turn. We're in a dream spot, particularly if the turn is a low card. The turn is a queen, and this is the absolute worst card in the deck for us. I think his most likely hands pre-flop were ace queen and pocket queens, since he opened huge from under the gun, and I have blockers to aces, ace king, and pocket kings. He checks, and I should always be checking back in this spot. If he somehow had a hand like ace jack or ace 10, then he might call it bet, but I don't think he necessarily opened to 30 from under the gun with those hands. He also can't really call with pocket jacks or pocket kings on this board, so there's no real point in betting, but I'm out to set the record for how many turns I can butcher in a row on a video log, so I bet 95. He tanks for a bit and then raises to 270. So he's repping pocket aces, pocket queens, or ace queen here. It's hard to imagine he's turning any other hand into a bluff. I can't call because I could be drawing dead and my opponent is telling a convincing story with his line so far. I just have to let this one go.
So today is going a little bit differently than yesterday. Yesterday I ran really well. Every decision was a lot more clear, I think. Today things have been a little bit more tough. I'm down 450 for the night. I've only played about 2.5 hours though. I mean, I can get that back in one hand. So hopefully things will turn around.
Here we find ourselves in a straddle pot. We're under the gun +1. The under the gun player limps in for 10. He has a starting stack of around 300. We raise it up to 45 with king jack of spades. It folds back to him and he calls. So we go heads up to the flop. At this point, I put him on a small to medium pair, maybe medium suited connectors, 2 Broadway cards, and some ace-x suited type hands. The flop comes 10-8-6 with 2 hearts and 1 spade. He checks. I bet 65 into 107. Now this is a very coordinated board, but I have no showdown value at all with king high, so I'm hoping he'll fold ace high hands and possibly small pocket pairs. If for some reason he doesn't fold, I still have 2 overs, a backdoor flush draw, and backdoor straight draws. Unfortunately, he decides to call, and now I'm a little bit concerned. The turn is the 9 of hearts. There are 4 cards to the straight, and the flush draw got there. He checks. Now I might have picked up some outs here, but I don't see any real point in betting, so I just check it back. The river is the 7 of spades, so there's a 10 high straight on the board, but I have the jack high straight. He jams for 185 and I call. He turns over 9-8 of spades, and he gets a little bit upset when he sees that I bet flop with air and river to straight, while he flopped 1 pair, turned 2 pair, got counterfeited on the river, and then turned his hand into a bluff and lost every dollar he had.
Fucking river again.
Now, this is a good example of why it's helpful to bluff with backdoor draws. Yes, I definitely got lucky with the run out, but that's going to happen every once in a while, and when it does, there will usually be a big pot waiting for you. Here we're in early position, and we look down and we see pocket aces. The under the gun +1 player limps. I'm directly to his left. I raise it up to 25. It folds back to him and he calls. The flop comes king 10-4 with 2 clubs. He checks to us. We bet $35 for value. He calls. No reason to think we're behind. Everything is going according to plan so far. The turn is the queen of clubs, and again, this card is extremely bad for us. Not only do flush draws get there, but straights also get there, and there's a good chance he could have 2 pair as well. He checks, and I check back for pot control. If the river is a blank and he bets, I'm definitely planning on calling, and then if he checks, I'll definitely bet. The river is a 5 of diamonds, it's a complete blank, but he bets $100 into a pot of 127. This is about 80% of the pot. Now, I know I said I was planning on calling a river bet as long as a blank came, but this puts me in a weird position. If he called with a flush draw on the flop, then he got there, and if he called with a straight draw, he either got there or he made a pair of queens, and I think he'd be happy to check with a pair of queens just to get the showdown rather than turn his hand into a bluff. There's nothing that really makes sense here that I can beat, except for possibly ace-king, but that's about it, and I have blockers to ace-king. I've just called in this spot so many times and been wrong. I decided to fold. There are also some other reasons that became apparent to me afterwards that make me think I made the right fold. One is that I found out that he limp calls with big pairs frequently, or he just flats pre-flop with raises. He doesn't open or re-raise with big pairs, so he could have potentially had a set in the hand against me. But the biggest reason why I think that the fold was correct was because he bluffed 2 or 3 times later in the session for much smaller amounts, and he showed the bluffs. So he didn't show me the bluff this hand, and that makes me feel a little bit better looking back on it.
Big laydown. King? Aces. What?
Yep.
It's almost 4 a.m. We've been playing for about 6 hours. I'm stuck 225. I'm in for 14. I've got about 1200 in front of me, or 1175. And I'm not really happy with some of the things I did today, but I don't think I'm running too well overall. Probably play for a while longer though. We woke up really late today, so I'm still feeling good. I think I'm playing okay. I've made like some weird folds in spots.
Yeah, bro. You did make some weird folds in spots. But I have a feeling we're not folding in this hand. The under the gun player opens a 25. The player to my right, who I folded the pocket aces to last hand, just flats. I look down at pocket nines. I call, we go 3 ways to the flop. The pot is $82. The flop comes 8-5-3 rainbow. The initial pre-flop raiser bets 25, and the player to my right calls. I call as well. The turn is the 4 of diamonds. Pre-flop raiser checks. Player to my right bets 100 into 157, and this is pretty scary. I'm not beating a lot of hands. I'm beating hands like ace-8, 9-8, 8-7, but I'm losing to several straights now. I'm losing to pocket 10s or better, and 4 of the 7 pocket pairs below mine have made sets, and don't forget about 2-pair hands. But I decide to call because I don't want the trolls thinking I'm too nitty. The initial pre-flop raiser folds, and we go heads up to the river. The river is the 10 of clubs, and he bets 100 again. This makes me pretty happy because it seems like he's scared of something if he's betting the same amount as he did on the turn. I'm getting 4.5 to 1 on a call, so I only have to win this around 19% of the time for it to be profitable. I decide to call, and he turns over pocket aces. So we played this hand super unconventionally, but it ended up working out for him. We're obviously in a hole, but which hole are we in? This hole looks cool, but I don't see myself down there. And then there's this hole. Is there a giraffe at the bottom? I don't know. Now we're stuck $600. The night is winding down, but we get pretty lucky. We get a big fish to sit down at our table. He opens up to 15 from early position. 2 players call. I look down at king 9 offsuit in the big blind, and I call. The flop comes 10-9-9 rainbow. I check, and it checks through. The turn is an ace, which is a great card for us. It's really likely to connect with one of our opponent's hands. The small blind checks. I check. The fish bets 50 into 60. It folds back to us. We raise it up to 175. The fish calls, leaving himself with about 225. The river is the 5 of spades. We don't have any other real option here but to go all in. He doesn't think for too long. He decides to call. We turn over king 9. We are good, and it looks like we're on a bit of a comeback. A few hands later, I look down and see pocket 10s in the cutoff. 3 people limp in and I make it 40. The big fish in the big blind raises it up to 80. He started the hand with around 400. It folds back to me and I call. The flop comes ace 9 deuce rainbow and he checks. I don't see any real point in betting here, so I check it back. The turn is a jack and he bets 50 into 177. I feel like I'm getting strung along here a little bit, but I'm getting 4.5 to 1 on a call, so I don't know what I'm beating, but I can't really fold. The river is another ace, and my opponent bets 50 again. Now, I'm almost certain that I'm beat, but I'm getting 6.5 to 1 on a call, so I just put in the $50, and to my surprise, he turns over king, queen of hearts for king high. So the funny thing about this hand is that he actually kind of put me in a weird spot on the river because I thought I was just handing him my money basically. But this is why you can't fold when you're getting such amazing pot odds. You just never know what you might be up against. In this hand, we look down and see ace queen offsuit in the big blind. The big fish limps in early position with a starting stack of around 260. It folds to the small blind, he calls. I raise it up to 30. The big fish calls and the small blind folds, so we go heads up to the flop. The flop comes jack, jack, 7, and we both check. The turn is the 10 of diamonds. I check, and my opponent bets 30 with about 200 behind. I call, thinking that I could be ahead right now, based on the pocket 10s hand that I just played with him, and if I'm not ahead, I can probably hit an ace or a queen to win, and if a king comes, I might even be able to stack him. The river's one of those favorable cards that I always hear about. It's the king of hearts, giving me the straight, and now usually I don't like to check raise with big hands because a few things have to happen for it to be more profitable than just betting yourself. Number one is that your opponent has to bet once you check, and way too often he'll just check back hands he might have called a bet with, and you'll lose tons of value. Number two is the opponent will have to have a strong enough hand to be able to call a raise. And generally those two things don't happen often enough to make check raising a good idea on the river. But my opponent in this hand has already shown a propensity to bet, and I've seen him call light several times, so I decide to go ahead and go for it. I check, he bets 75, I raise it up to cover his remaining stack, he calls for 125 more, and we win another good sized pot against him.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't see this. Even if you saw that, there's no way that he could have been like, you must have hit the gut shot straight draw. And there's no. Oh, you hit the king for the straight. There's no way.
I guess we were down this hole, because it's the only one we could have gotten out of.
Alright, that's it for day 2. We won $300. I'm grabbing an Uber, because Jeff's gonna go ahead and play for a little while longer. So the total for the trip now, it's I think around $1,700. It's a pretty good trip so far. Cool, thanks man.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks man.
Good morning. Right?
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good.
Hey guys, thanks a lot for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe button. This was an interesting session for me. It was a 9-hour session. I definitely wasn't playing my best. I made a lot of questionable decisions and I made several decent sized mistakes, I'd say. So I hope you're able to learn from them. If you have any questions about any of the hands that I played in particular, then please let me know in the comment section. I'm happy to kind of explain my thought process in further depth. I didn't really have all the time that I wanted to in this video necessarily. So yeah, let me know, and good luck at the tables, guys. See you later.